The name of the show is The Way to Go. My name is Alan Bendich. I'm going to be your host. Tonight we have an iconic actor. I can't believe I even have him on the show. He's been in unbelievably, again, iconic movies with fantastic actors. He's a fantastic actor, and he's a comedian, and he's on the show, and he's Mr. Joseph Donofrio. Welcome to the show, Joseph, sorry.
Thank you for having me on the show. It's a pleasure
man.
and an honor to be on.
It's an honor to have you. I'm looking at that picture in your background, and it's like so iconic, and it's just amazing. And of course, you're blocking that one guy, Mr. De Niro, in the middle. I guess that's cool. So, before this movie, how did your acting start? I was always wondering about that. I had the opportunity to meet you before, but I never got a chance really to talk to you. How did you start acting?
Well, what happened was I was a break dancer.
Really?
I did a lot of break dancing. I did a couple of commercials.
Wow.
And then I had a manager for commercials. And she asked me if I would like to be in films. And I said, sure. So I started auditioning, and one thing led to another.
So when you were breakdancing, did you do it in clubs and stuff? Because I used to be a bartender in Hollywood, and I used to work in a club in Hollywood, and we had like the palace dancers, they were called, and they were all breaking back in the 80s. So
No, I was in a breakdance contest that was at the Roxy.
Oh, wow.
It was in the 80s. I was like 13 or 14.
In Hollywood?
No, it was in Manhattan.
Oh, okay, because there's a Roxy in Hollywood too. That's it.
And what happened was we came out like an eighth out of like 500-600 people.
Right.
Me and a friend of mine. And after that, a manager seen us at the show, and she asked if we would go on tour breakdancing. So we went on tour breakdancing for a while. And when we got back, I got a manager for commercials.
So you started with commercials. So, and what was your first big break?
My first big break, I guess, was Goodfellas.
Really? So that came before Bronxdale, I guess, right?
Yes.
Yep. So how did you, did you audition for it, or how did you get the part? I'm curious if you don't mind me asking.
I basically went up and I took a picture.
Right.
And then after I took the picture, my agent got a call, and I was supposed to meet up, go on another audition, but we had went on strike.
Wow.
And then we went off, we got back on, and next thing you know, they hired me.
What was it like when you got that? Because I know what it feels like. Like I've gotten commercials like for Hitachi back in the 80s and some other stuff. When you got the news that you were actually in Goodfellas, my God, what was it like?
Well, at the time, I didn't really know the magnitude of what I was doing.
Right.
Because basically I was a young kid.
Right.
I really wasn't into movies or TV. I didn't really watch a lot.
Right.
So when I got the part, it was basically like getting another job, because I was doing commercials and things like that. So I was just like, oh, we got another job, let's go do it. And then I went up and I did it. And now when I think back to it, I'm like, wow, it's really a pleasure. And I'm grateful that I got to be in such an iconic movie. Goodfellas is great.
Yeah, it's funny. I know exactly what you're talking about, because when I was in Hollywood, I wasn't as young as you were, but when I was in Hollywood, I was doing things, and I thought, okay, it's natural. I'm working on a network television show. I was doing a bunch of stuff, and I thought, okay, this is going to be forever, and it's like, or like it's just something, And then for my life, it changed, and I look back at those days, and it's hard. I didn't realize what I had back then, but. So you got a chance to play the young Joe Pesci in that movie, right?
Yeah.
What was it like working with those guys?
It was great. It was a pleasure, and it was just awesome, because you're working with professionals, that are on a level that's like so high. Right. So it was like you go to the set, you do your job, and you get out of there. And a lot of it was improv.
Wow,
It was like going to acting school, believe it or not. It's like you're working with like the best of the best.
That is school. That's better than school. You learn a lot more on the set than you do in an acting class, that's for sure.
Robert De Niro and Marty Scorsese were
oh my God,
great to work with. It was like Marty came to the set, and when I came to the set, Marty was just like, here, this is what you got to do, ba, ba, ba. He gave me my direction, and basically we did it, and we nailed it.
Yeah, you guys were fantastic. It was unbelievable. And every time I watch it, I see it on TV all the time, and it's like, I know that guy. It was great. So how long was it between that movie and Goodfellas and The Bronx Tale, because I'm a Bronx boy. I'm actually, I know it wasn't filmed in the Bronx, right? But yeah, that was incredible. I mean,
Bronx Tale. There it goes in the background.
I know
Iconic.
you played a despicable kind of guy, but it
Yeah,
was great.
it was like, I don't know, a couple of years afterwards,
Yeah,
and A Bronx Tale had came up.
yeah,
Robert De Niro had the script, and he was doing a reading for it. And he asked me to come up and do the reading. And after we did the reading, I think he bought the rights to the script, and
right.
we ended up making it. And I
What
was
was
one
it?
of the
What was
first
it
ones.
like working with Chaz and all those guys? I mean,
Oh, Chaz Palminteri
yeah,
is the best. Really good working with him. I learned a lot from him.
yeah.
Very
It
nice
was
guy.
what a movie. I mean, that's a heartbreaking movie. I mean, but and somebody. I mean, it's because I was, I was raised. I was born in '55, so it's like that's the kind of. I mean, it's like taking place when I was a kid. It's like my era. You know, and working with De Niro again and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
I'm
I mean,
grateful. A lot of people like it. It's a classic.
right.
And people constantly, they come up to me and they quote my lines and ask me questions. And I'm just grateful
Right.
that,
Where was it
people love
filmed?
it. That was filmed in Astoria. Some was filmed in Brooklyn,
Right.
and some in the Bronx.
Really?
Not much, but some was in the Bronx.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. I remember that time in the Bronx too. It was. It's just crazy. Like
Oh, yeah.
to, it was, and I just love the idea. Of the African American girl and the
Oh, she's
Italian guy.
great.
Yeah.
Jane is awesome. I love Jane, man.
That was such a great. I
Great.
mean, it was such a moving movie, and unfortunately, because I lived in the Bronx, it was really what was happening back in those days. It was very unusual to see relationships between black and white people. And so I thought it was like there was just so much in that movie. And
Oh, forget about it. That movie is a classic and it's a great movie. And I'm blessed to be in it. And
right.
then after that, we did this movie that's in the background right now. I don't know if you ever seen Analyze That.
Oh, I saw it, and
Another one with De Niro.
I've seen both, analyze this and that. But
Yeah.
what was that like? I mean, again, working with De Niro. I
No,
mean,
that was great. Howard Ramis, rest in peace, directed me in that. It was awesome. I had to like hang off a roof for like a half a day. So that was fun.
right,
And it was great. Like I said, we did a lot of improv in that scene, and it was really nice. And it's just a pleasure when you're working on these movies, and then you see the product, and you're like, "Wow,
right,
it's amazing."
and these movies are forever. That's the other thing. I mean, long after we're gone, your children, my children, our children's children are going to see that movie.
Yeah.
That's one of the interesting things about being, especially in iconic movies, that
I don't know
you're
if you ever
blessed.
seen Wannabes. Wannabes with my friend Willie DeMeo.
Yeah,
We did a movie called Wannabes. We did Back in the Day,
right.
and we're just doing the show right now, Gravesend. It's on
I,
Amazon Prime. If you want, you can go
that's
watch it right now, and
right.
give it a good review if you like it.
I'll definitely check it out.
Oh,
Whoops.
it's a great show.
Right.
We're getting ready to do a couple more episodes as soon
Yeah.
as this pandemic ends.
It's
So I'm
crazy.
looking forward to that. I actually talked to Willie DeMeo today before I talked to you,
Right.
and he told me he wrote some good stuff for my character in
That's
the next
fantastic.
episode. So I'm excited, and I just
He's
love the writing that he does on the show. And he's directing it and he's creating it.
yeah, he's worked with a lot of fantastic. I mean, John Travolta and all those guys. I mean, he's just a
Yeah,
fantastic.
oh,
He's
forget
he's an unbelievable star. I mean,
yeah,
there's
he's
no
a
other word
star.
to use. I mean,
But
for
he's
the
great
guy.
because he's humble and he's nice and he's caring and he's kind. And that's what I like about people. I like people like that.
Right. It's amazing. So, you're what new other new projects you're working on? I mean,
Yeah, I just finished a movie called The Birthday Cake with Val Kilmer, Vinny Pastore,
yeah.
Ewan McGregor, Lorraine Bracco. It was fun working on that. It's a
I-
comedy.
yeah.
And so I love comedy. I could do comedy, I do drama. But I like comedy better because basically you leave the set laughing.
Right.
But drama, you might leave the set like you want to kill somebody. So
I love Vinny.
Plus,
He's
we got a couple other movies. We got The Wrong Path with
right.
Judy San Roman produced, which is also a great movie,
Right.
and a couple other things.
Yeah, I worked with.
Something called Almost Made with
Oh,
Paul
right.
Gazy. It's a comedy pilot that a bunch of guys from upstate wrote. It's
Yeah,
really funny.
that's great.
And my comedy show.
Right. But before then, I just want to tell you, Vinny's been on the show a couple of times on this show
Oh,
when we were
really?
actually in the studio. He's from New Rochelle, which is local to where I live. I actually ran into him the first time at Modell's uh,
Okay.
2 or 3 years ago, and then I just asked him to come on the show, and he came on a couple of times, and we had some very good conversations. And he's a great guy.
Oh, Vinny's the best. I enjoyed working with him so much. I think I did like 3 or 4 projects with him. I did a short called Pasquale Magic Veal, which was great
Yeah,
with him. And the birthday cake we just finished.
yeah,
And we had a lot of dialogue together. It was
right,
funny. Vinny was doing a scene and he had to like fall down or something like that.
right. He's
And he
amazing.
didn't want to fall down. So he's like, Joey, can you do this? You fall down and I'll stand on the side.
Right.
And I was like, okay. And it was great, man. Vinny is such a professional.
How
I
is he?
work with that guy every day.
How is he? I know he's had he's been through some stuff, but he's doing good, right?
Oh, he is doing great, man.
Okay, that's
He is
good.
awesome.
I'm
He's got
happy
his
for him.
tomato sauce too. If you want to buy his tomato sauce, he's got plenty of tomato
Yeah,
sauce.
Vinny, I saw that on Facebook.
Yeah,
Yeah,
oh man.
yeah.
If
And
anybody likes tomato sauce, you better go out and buy some right now. He's
you can
really
get some in City Island and some other. I saw him on City Island buying it. Right. He's a great guy. I really like him. So let's talk about your comedy. And actually, let me share the screen right now with the show that's coming up on July 25th, right?
Yep.
Okay,
July
so let's.
25th. Yep.
You see that? Can you see it?
No. Oh, there it goes. Yeah. All
Yeah,
right.
that's it. So tell
Wow.
me a little bit about it.
Well, basically, it's a comedy show. It's on Zoom. What you do is you go to josephdonofriocomedy.com. You buy a ticket. It's $30 on the day of the show. I give you the code. You go to Zoom, which is free to join. You put in
Okay.
the code. I give you the password. The show starts at 8 o'clock.
Okay, I'm going to leave it up so you can talk to me. I'm still here, but I'll leave that up.
Yeah. So
So tell me about
basically,
when did I know that you've been doing some big gigs. Um,
yeah. Well, I just did Atlantic City, but what it is I host the show and I have comics on the show.
right,
So basically, it's going to be a good time, funny. You can transfer it to your TV and watch it on your TV. It's like
right,
a pay-per-view thing. But the only thing is, you come in at 6:30. I let you in at 7:30. I come. I see who paid for the ticket. I let them stay. Anybody else who tried to bootleg a ticket, I kick them out.
right.
But
That's
it's a
it.
great show. It's funny. Got a couple of comics, and at the end, we're going to have a question and answer.
So I guess it's interesting. Like you started as a breakdancer, you're an actor. Like creative people have a tendency to be creative in many different ways, and and I know you've always been, you gave the appearance of someone who, I mean, like someone who's funny. I mean, and have you always been like a natural comic?
Well, I did a couple of sitcoms. I was on a show called Are We There Yet? Where
Yeah.
I played Staten Island Mike. I was on that for like 25 episodes. It's in
Wow.
my background now. I put up a scene or whatever.
Yep.
And that was fun.
Right.
So after that, I always wanted to do stand-up. And a friend of mine was a stand-up comedian.
Right.
And I had approached him one day and I was like, what's the chances of me being on doing some stand-up or something
Right.
like that? And he was like, whoa, you want to do stand-up? And I was like, yeah, I'd love to do stand-up. And he's like, dude, let's do a show.
That's
So I was
awesome.
like, okay. And he called up the guy at Dangerfields and said, Joseph Donofrio wants to do a show.
Right.
And we did the show.
Yeah.
I did like 8 minutes the first show. And after that, the owner of the place was like, wow, you were so good. That was only the first time. I was like, yeah. So I went home, I started writing. And, I just kept doing shows after that. And now, I'm hosting my own show.
That's
And
great.
I'm actually doing a set on the show, too, that I'm doing on Zoom. And if you look in the background now, that's the show Are We There Yet? It was
Yeah.
with Terry Crews and a bunch of other
Oh,
people.
wow. Terry is like, he's an amazing actor. And I mean, he's doing
I
so
love
well
Terry,
on,
man.
what is it, American Idol? Is that what he's on? Or is it?
America's Got Talent.
Oh,
That's his
America's Got
show.
Talent. I always get them mixed up.
Brooklyn 911, a couple
But
other.
he has an unbelievable story. I mean, he's been through a lot in life.
He's a great person. I could work with him too. I worked with him. We did, like I said, 25 episodes, and it was just working. We were always on the same page.
Right.
A lot of improv too. That was what's great about Are We There Yet? I would come to the set,
Right.
and the creator, Ali Leroy, was like, Joe, whatever you want to do, just do it.
Right.
He goes, try to stick to the script, but if you feel like you want to say something else, say something else. And,
Right.
and it worked. I don't try to make my part bigger or anything. I just become the character.
Right.
For me,
It's
when I do a character, I
right.
like to become the character.
I
No,
agree with you.
I'm
That's
not.
the way to do it. That's the way to
Yeah.
do it. I mean, and that's the most natural way. If you sometimes when you get forced into saying something that some writer wrote that has no idea who is actually going to be the person who's doing the acting, so it has to go through your own mind and it has to come out naturally. It has to come out like it's a conversation rather than quoting someone else's words.
Oh
So I
yeah.
agree.
Yeah,
That's
it
it.
does. You have to. I try to make it as natural as possible.
Right.
Anything I do, I do. There goes a picture from the birthday cake in the back with Vinny Pastore. We got the guy
There's
from
Vinny.
Facebook. Nicky Valls was in it. His brother Frankie. Great people too. A lot
That's
of people.
great.
Max Daniels. Val Kilm, I think's back here. There goes Frank. Where's Val? There goes Val.
That's fantastic. But looking at Vinny, any day with Vinny is a good day. That's how I
Look at
look
him.
at
He
it.
looks great.
I know he looks fantastic.
Yeah, he was
So,
great. He made
what?
it so easy on the set too. It was very good.
So, is it rough? I mean, it's got to be rough being stuck at home and stuff like this for a person like you, especially with all the creativity and you can't go on stage. I know you're doing Zoom, but is there anything? I mean, I'll tell you, I'd be scared to go on stage to do
Yeah,
improv or
yeah.
acting. I'm not acting. I'm sorry, to do comedy. Were you initially? Did you have any qualms about going on stage and doing it? Because you can't. People can't. They're not going to. They're either going to laugh or they're not going to laugh. Is basically what I'm going to say. What's it like when they first start laughing? I'll put it that way. Is it like an unbelievable feeling?
Yeah, what it is basically doing stand up on in front of an audience and doing comedy in a TV show is totally two different things.
Right.
And I've learned that after like the third or fourth time I did stand up. You
Yeah.
got to learn how to ride the wave. Like when people, I mean, ride the laugh.
Right.
When people are
I understood what
laughing,
you meant. Right.
when people are laughing, you got to
Yeah.
know to be quiet. And as soon as the laugh goes down to like a little laugh, you go to your next joke.
Right.
And if nobody's laughing, you go right to the next joke. Thank God the last show I did,
Yeah.
I killed it, man. I mean, I had laughs. It was really good. It felt so good getting off that stage
Right.
and just being like, yeah. Every joke I said, I
Right.
nailed. Everybody laughed. And I rode the laugh because
Right.
it's a technique. I remember the first time I did stand up,
Yes.
I taped it. And I was talking over the laugh.
Right.
And I said to myself, I watched other people.
Right.
And I learned it's a craft.
Right. So, and do you ever make up jokes as you're going along because you know that you're going down a road and then all of a sudden you realize that they're laughing at something that you have to get a little bit even
Oh yeah.
invent some stuff on not just the stuff you already had prepared but just stuff that on the spur of the moment.
No, I'm on the fly. I'm always improv and I'm always doing something. So like if I'm on the stage, I'll have a joke. I
Right.
have it set up the way I'm going to say it. But
Right.
sometimes I add stuff. I might forget a joke. I might do something else. I like to interact with the audience. That's my
Right.
thing. But
You know,
I don't like to abuse the audience. I don't like to talk bad to the audience. I like to build the audience up. Like I might say something nice to the audience. Like
right.
now people like to make fun of their audience. I'm the opposite. I like to say good things about the audience.
Right. See, it seems like you're almost like two different. Like the person we see on the screen is definitely not who you are. I mean, you seem like a person with a good heart, whereas sometimes you play characters that have just the opposite. Is
Thank
it tough to go against character when you're doing? I mean, or do you like that? Do you like having like when you're acting? Do you?
Well,
What do
it,
you like better? I'll put it that way. Or are they both the same to you?
Well, I like doing comedy, like I said, but
Right.
I mean, I basically could do anything. I just gotta, get the character in my head and do some of my homework and find out the emotions I want to use and how I want to do the character. Like, like in Gravesend, I'm
Right.
playing a gangster, but the gangster's a classy gangster and he's a quiet gangster.
Right.
Basically like a Joe Pesci in The Irishman.
Wow.
It's not like the characters I usually play that are like rip your head off like
Right.
in a minute or like very loud and crazy.
Right.
So I try to do little things like maybe have a toothpick. I try to like the way I walk, the way I talk, the way I do my hair. I try to put every character.
Right. Like you're more inward, like more cerebral. Like you got your rather than being just like
No,
a
it's not.
crazed.
it's not about just saying the words.
Right.
Like
I hear you.
acting is a whole, every line, every walk, everything, every beat in everything, every line
Right.
has to be perfected. You know
Right.
what I mean?
That's it.
It's not like you go to the set and you say lines. I go to the
Right.
set, I come prepared, I come with choices, and I'm professional as you could be. That's what I
And
do.
I mean, how do you feel on the set when you're acting, or even on? I mean, when you're on, I guess first of all, is it the same feeling that you have when you're acting that you have when you're doing your comedy? I mean, do you get the same rush? Is it just as satisfying, or is one more satisfying than the other?
Oh,
Or
it's different. It's different. Basically, acting like when you go on a set. I mean, depending on who I'm acting in with and who I'm working with and things like that.
right,
I mean, it's great, but it's good because when you're done, you're done. When you do a set
right,
comedy show, you're interacting with the audience afterwards, and you're talking to people, and the rush lasts longer because
right.
basically people that like you and like your show and like your work are coming up to you after the show. Hey, how you doing, Joe? I liked you in this movie. I liked you in that movie. Can I take a picture? Can I do that?
Right.
And it's a great feeling when people like you.
Right.
It makes me feel good that people like my work and appreciate my
Well,
work.
that's
I
the whole
just
thing
love
about
when,
being an actor or whatever. It's like the appreciation. I mean, we all looking for that. We're all looking to do a good job because we wouldn't put ourselves on the line like this
yeah, but
just
I'm
for
the
the
kind of
money.
type of guy, it's like anybody could approach me. Come
Right.
up to me anytime, say hi, how you doing, what's going on? And I'll talk to anybody. I don't mind.
How long does it take you to come down from that rush? When you come off the stage, I mean, how long does it take you to be able to go to sleep at night, or even after like a good acting session? It
Well, it
usually takes.
depends. It depends on the acting and it depends on the show and it depends what's going on.
Right,
I mean, sometimes it could take a while. Sometimes I just snap out of it. But it's been, I've been doing it so long
right,
that basically I got used to getting out of it. But in the
right.
beginning, it took longer to get out of certain roles, because when you're playing different roles, sometimes you become that role. And you got to know when to get out of that role.
So, what are your future hopes and dreams? Basically, what are you looking to do down the line? Do you want to direct, produce? Do you have any of those thoughts?
Well, I produce my own comedy shows, but
Right,
what I'm looking to do is basically I want to do like a sitcom or a show and just be on a show and be either a series regular or a recurring character. I
right,
mean, I always wanted to direct, but I never had the opportunity to do it. Maybe when I get older or something like
right,
that. I did an acting class once. I did a five session acting class, which was great. The
right.
acting students
I
are
saw
all
that. I saw that you had put that on Facebook. And that for people to join. What was it like teaching? I'm
It was
curious.
great. It was awesome because basically, in the first class, I would give them all the knowledge that I had about acting and, the business and this and that and,
Right,
how to get yourself into characters. And we did a commercial. I critiqued the commercials. And then we did a scene on the third class. We did a scene and I
right,
worked with them on the scene. And it was great to see them do the scene in the beginning and
right,
then do the scene at the end after I gave them the
right.
critiques
Just
and how great it was.
that was it. Well, we're almost getting.
I was like, it was all because of me. I was like,
I know you were the
I mean,
change agent.
it wasn't cost of me. Basically, sometimes it's like a director.
Right,
Like I'm not always perfect, so I need a director to maybe critique me and be like, Joe, you shouldn't be as angry in this scene. Maybe less anger.
right.
So that's what I would do. I would try to teach them how to, sometimes just because you're angry, you don't
Right.
have to yell.
That's right.
You don't have to
Sometimes when
just
you're
be angry.
quiet,
Hey, what are you doing? It
right?
could be like, hey, what are you doing?
I know.
What are you doing with yourself?
That's it.
You don't have to yell.
Right. Because you're much stronger when you don't yell. So that's
Yeah.
it. That's it. So you know what? We only have a couple of minutes left. I'm going to put up your. I'm going to share one more time your show that's happening. If you want to talk a little bit more about it, let me see if I know how to do this. Okay, there it is. I'm going to share it. Do you see it?
Yep.
Okay. If you want to talk a little bit to it now, that would be great. Just to let everyone know again about your show coming up.
It's July 25th. It's on Zoom. $30 a ticket. It's a
Mhm.
great show. I'm the host. I got a couple of comics. It's going to be off the hook, and it's global. You can watch
Okay.
it in your living room. So go to josephdonofriocomedy.com and get a ticket, or go to Eventbrite and search Joseph Donofrio Comedy Show, and you could get to see my show. It's
All
going to
right.
be great.
Okay. So it was really great having you on the show, and I really look forward to actually seeing this again with the opening credits and everything. It's going to be great, and I'm going to be watching that show. So at least you're going to have you'll have tons of people, but I'll be watching it as well. It's been a pleasure having you on the show, but there's only one thing left to say. That's a wrap. Good night, folks.
Thank you for having me on the show, buddy.
Okay, my pleasure.